Hello, fellow traders. Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Wednesday, June the 14th, the year's 2023. Let's talk trading. Method or madness with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and differ from Walmal's. And just a friendly reminder, risk management. Always have your risk management employed when you are trading, so you don't lose any more on any one single trade than you are willing to lose. So Walmal, more than once you've said that, the method really doesn't matter, and that other things matter. So it sounds like it's more madness than method.
Hopefully not, but it seems that way sometimes. And what when I say that, let me go and just be specific on that when I say that, and clear up any whatever, and don't cause a big re in the comment section. But when I say that, it's sort of like, if you got a method that's out there and and you can go back and you can look at it and say, yeah, this makes sense. I've based it on statistical information. I've done the research. I've gone and tested it going forward, and it seems to, pan out. Maybe I'm not taking the trades yet, but I can see where this is actually working. And that's what I'm talking about. The method doesn't really matter as much. I'm not talking about just, the monkey at the keyboard just pressing buy or sell, and you just got to go and deal with it at that point. But, I think that would be truly madness although it may work, I don't know. It'd be better than some of the trades I take. But, but the reality is that, if you got methods, especially, there are methods that have been out there literally for, hundreds of years at this point in time that people have used throughout time, and some have made fortunes and some have lost fortunes on it. And so the question comes down to how can some people make fortunes, and why do some people, lose fortunes? Now, part of it can be just because of market condition. That could certainly play into it, right? And then the second part of it, which I think is what you alluded to, right, and that is the money management. How are you managing your money? How are you going out there and protecting your capital? What are you doing to make sure that you're not falling into a place you shouldn't be falling into? And that's what I think is the most important thing, because, the reality is most methods, they come about in a way that's, I think most of them come about the same way. And that is that some guy, is sitting in front of his terminal, watching the screen, or in the old days, some guy is sitting there watching the paper charts, or even older than that, some guy is sitting in the room hearing the prices come across the ticker, right? And they're noticing something. And they're saying, hey, when this happens and this happens, then this happens. It's sort of like it's a conditional clause, I see conditions A, B, and C, and when I see conditions A, B, and C, there's a good chance that, D happens. And that's how most methods are born. But the problem with that is simply this. What's working today may not necessarily mean that that's what's going to work tomorrow, or a week from now, or a month from now.
Or an hour from now.
Or an hour from now. Now, what I will say, though, is that what happened here with A, B, C, and then D, if it stops working, it may start working again. And that's where this entire idea of money management comes into play. Because what you got to do is protect yourself when your method is not working. Because, now there are two ways to solve that problem. Solution number one, which is, the solution I think that everybody wants to have, but I don't know if it's necessarily something that's really doable, and that is, what else is happening in the market that I could see that means that my method does not work at this moment in time? And I don't like that, and here's the reason why I don't like it. What it does is it takes a method that's relatively simple. I'm assuming that you created a simple method, and it adds a level of complexity to it. And you know, there's just so much complexity that I think that we as humans can go and deal with. And when you add complexity to it, you're adding the chances of human error going up exponentially. And so you can get yourself into a bad situation. I prefer looking at it as, okay, the method's not working right now, but I don't care because my money management is so good that what it's going to do is it's going to prevent me from having something catastrophic happen to me. And eventually my method's going to come back and it's going to start working again because markets are cyclical. And that's just, you know, that just look at the charts. It's cyclical. And so when it comes back and starts to happen again, I will go and make up not just what I lost, but more than what I lost. And that's you know, that's how I look at the market and how I look at methods. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. I wanted to. A trader had sent me a book, and then I told you about it, and you said you had looked at it, and there was something that had to do. Trying to remember which part you quoted yesterday.
There were a couple of things.
Well, I think it had to do with had something to do with the method, that there is no holy grail, basically, something
Right,
to that effect.
I can't remember the exact quote, but I know what you're talking about. But essentially, what the author of that book was saying was, you know, the methods are methods, and there is no holy grail that's out there. And anyone who goes and thinks that they're going to come up with the holy grail, the person who thinks they're going to go out there and find the perfect trading pattern, is going to come up with the perfect indicator, going to come up with the perfect everything. And I'm adding stuff to what this fellow said. That person is delusional. You know, that person is now slipped off into madness.
Hey, did some news just pop out? Look at what price just did. Holy.
Well, we have news coming in 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, that thing just shot. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
He came out of the launch pad.
yeah. It's only a 5-pip movement, but then again, well, now it's not. Now it's a 10-pip movement. But I was just about to say that, you know, because the market's been so flat today, that any type of movement looks huge.
Well, that flip-flop box would have paid off 7 pips right now.
Yeah. Problem is, you would have gone into the first flip-flop box that you would have had going in would have been from, you know, I don't know, 20 minutes or so ago, and then you would have flip-flop boxes going in both directions.
Yeah, I'm just talking about that last one right here. Mine was at 48.5.
But I think this leads into exactly what I'm talking about, which is kind of funny, you know, because, you know, if you would have gotten into the first flip-flop box, you know, from last hour, the 53 candle on last hour, you know, you would sit here, moved on short, and maybe you could have gotten a pip. More than likely you didn't. Then you would have gotten another flip-flop box, and this time you would have had a long. Then you would have had a short, and then a long, and then a short. You could have been in 5-6 different trades, you know. And so depending on your money management would say, you know, cut all those losses, or it would have said stick in them and see which one pans out. And, you know, you would have gotten that last one, which would have put you in positive territory. Yeah, you would have probably taken a couple of losses on the short side, but you would have more than made it up on the long side. So, and that's why you need to go and have a money management system or a risk management system in place that keeps you in the game. Because eventually, you know, your method, you know, if you got a method that's sound, it's going to come back and reward you. And even though, you know, it seemed, for how long was that? It was about 20, 25 minutes. It's sort of like it, you know, it floundered you, and it really probably felt like a lot of pain, you know, because it's going back and forth like that. Well, you know, like I said, methods are not foolproof, you know, and things happen, and you just got to go and deal with what the market hands you, and, you know, and just keep on following your rules. In fact, you know, Kira, you saw me earlier, I got into a trade. Now, admittedly, I got into the trade because I didn't like the trade, and I just accidentally clicked on it. It was a valid trade to get into, but I just didn't like it because of where the market was at the time. but I stuck to it because it was still a valid trade, and I just kept on taking the trades where it made sense to take the trades, and then I wound up walking away with like 7.9, 8 pips, something like that. But that's the thing. My money management was never in danger. My risk management was never in danger. So it didn't. I don't want to say it didn't matter, but it just it was painful sitting through because I had to sit through it for 20, 25 minutes. But because money management was in play, and I had made a decision, no matter what, I wasn't going to violate those rules. It didn't throw me into a state of madness. It didn't put me into a position of being underwater to the point in which I was going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and that, I think, like you said, that's kind of the key. Because I was watching a video this morning and listening to it, and the guy said, the guy said that we only see what we're looking for. And, that, I think we did a video about that last week, or maybe the week before, seeing versus looking for. And it's real interesting because I'm driving down the road, and since I like Miatas, I can spot a Miata, almost a mile away. It's like, hey, there's a Miata. But there's all these other cars that I'm seeing, in other words, that, the light is bouncing off of my eyeballs, but I'm not looking for them, so they pass by and I really don't acknowledge them. I don't quote unquote see them.
Exactly. And I think that's a really good illustration of the point, and that is that, think about how many times you go out and you do your research on buying a car, right? You're going to buy a brand new car, you have the money to go and do it, and you do all your research, and it puts you into a particular, make and a particular model. And sometimes you may even scratch and say, I've never even noticed any of these on the road. Then as you're doing your research, it's like your head starts turning because it seems like everywhere you turn, somebody's got one of these. And it's like, where did that all come from? Well, what's happening is you're now seeing because you've done all the research, but probably in the past you were just out there looking and you weren't seeing that particular aspect. And that can get you into trouble with trading too, because next thing you know, you're seeing things that may or may not be there because you could wind up actually having some things that are illusions as opposed to reality. And maybe that's another topic for another day.
Right. Yeah, because a friend of mine put an order in for a Ford Maverick, or was it a Maverick pickup or something? But he still hasn't gotten it. But, I noticed him on the road. Before, they wouldn't even have fazed me.
Right.
But, but back to trading, sports fans, we're going to have news coming up, so that's why we did the video before the news. So we're going to probably trade, the news release. But the thing is, your method, especially during news, you have to stick to it. You can't, because every time you change something, then it's like you almost have to start over. And it's just really hard, being human, not to want to tinker with things. That could probably be a whole week's worth of video about tinkering. And the video, the guy talking about, only seeing what you're looking for, also would mention something about, being focused and paying attention, or where your attention is. And I think that's also very, very, very key. We'll probably explore that in a video sometime soon. So the fastest 15 minutes in trading is just about over. So fellow traders, I hope you may have picked up something that you can use to improve your trading. And when you're trading, always remember, never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.